Right now, we will get straight to the point. As we enter the Mag 8 frenzy, Dan Ives joins us from Wedbush, who is obviously everywhere in the media. Warren Buffett is currently a member of the Mag 8. On Nvidia, there were 65 buys, 8 holds, and no sales. You have a coworker at Wedbush who follows Nvidia, but you don't. Yes, our price target for Nvidia is $138, with a bull case of $175. This morning, Bernstein hit $150, and I believe this is only the beginning. So based on all we witnessed from the godfather of AI, Jensen at Nvidia, I believe this stock should be in the green by the end of the day, or perhaps within the next 24 hours. We'll go after we get one more in here. Give us an idea, Dan. What did you hear from Nvidia last evening? They outperformed the numbers. Perhaps the street wasn't prepared for the advice. However, what did you actually learn from yesterday night's Nvidia event? 3 things, then. Demand is the first. Is there double ordering, I wonder? Enterprise demand, what is it? In fact, demand is increasing, and Jensen's perspective on what we're witnessing from AI is the best. Second, Blackwell, all the concerns, all the fears, is that getting postponed? In essence, they allayed those worries, and that was crucial. Well, don't listen to all this fancy Dan Ives jargon. I'm the only one that does math review. Take Apple's share repurchase of $10 billion, which they have been doing for years, and split it by free cash flow. You divide a figure of $50 billion by Nvidia's free cash flow. It was a huge announcement to me. They all say it's not a huge deal. Was a buyback of shares a significant event? It's an incredible offer. This also applies to a corporation that, 6 months ago, was viewed negatively by 25 and 26 analysts. Currently, its earnings will be between $5 and $6. Dan Ives spent a lot of time here this morning. We welcome you on YouTube, Android Auto, and Apple CarPlay from all over the world. All right, I'm going to Apple. I'm going to the renowned Tom Swaka aggregation in Bloomberg News, and I'm just going to skim them. Mashable. The University of Wisconsin rejected a new trial as they pursued someone. Apple ordered 10% more iPhones than the previous year. The Apple iPhone 17 is rumored to arrive with the Sweeney House before September 15th. And the Apple Music playlist is now transferable to YouTube Music. Finally, Dan Ives is currently featured on Bloomberg. This is the news from Tokyo, after all. Surprise, more iPhone orders are coming in. How would you translate that? I mean, the iPhone 16 marks the beginning of an AI-driven supercycle. It will be a historic time, in my opinion. We discussed it extensively on the show, you see, in more than 4 years. 300 million of the 1.5 billion iPhones, including Sweeney, have been upgraded. AI. Apple devices will provide access to AI for 25% of the global population. This is where the consumer revolution begins. I will push back against you. Paul Sweeney and Tom Keene don't care about artificial intelligence. All we need is an iPhone to track the whereabouts of our children. If Paul Sweeney isn't going to deploy AI, what's the big deal? That's today, then. If you look at it, you'll see that hundreds of AI-driven apps will be developed on top of OpenAI and Apple Intelligence. It's basically going to be a personal assistant who truly understands Paul Keene and your behaviors from a data standpoint. Most consumers' interactions with AI will shift as a result of this. Yes, China. What's going on in China? In the back of my mind, I worry that the typical Chinese customer will remark, "I'm just not buying American." Does Apple's market share suffer as a result? As someone who frequently travels to the area, I can attest that the typical Chinese consumer desires the greatest thing available, which is an Apple product. I'm not saying that there aren't geopolitical challenges, but China is actually posing more of a threat, particularly with the iPhone 16. In essence, 100 million of your iPhones haven't been updated in 4 years. Therefore, I believe that any headwinds there have begun to turn into tailwinds. Cook is therefore 90% CEO and 10% politician, correct? Yes, it is intelligent. What about India? Tom and I were just discussing this at the bar last night at the club. In India, we were discussing iPhones. I don't know how that happened. John, did you spend last night in the club? I wouldn't want to be in that club, and there isn't a club that would accept me. Did you attend the game's watch party last night? Indeed, indeed. I had assumed Sweeney would attend that watch party. He wasn't day trading off his couch at the cottage, in my opinion. All I can say is that I was a club, according to my club left. Sweeney, do the dishes. How much of an opportunity does Apple have in India? In such market, shouldn't they have a phone that costs less? Yes, but there is a growing middle class in India. And if you look closely, I believe Apple has always had difficulty in that market. 3% iPhones. We estimate that during the next 2 years, the total number of iPhones will be between 10 and 12%. In fact, India will be a strong market for Apple, particularly in terms of pricing points. How many iPhones are bought under a phone company's plan when a customer pays $800 or $1,000 on the device? It's a big number, isn't it? It's a huge amount, I know. Additionally, the carrier savings will be taken into consideration, and the important thing is this. Would you like to share any information you know about them with Bloomberg? We believe that, given all we're witnessing, there will be essentially never-before-seen forms of promotion, particularly from American carriers like Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, simply because now is the moment. That is, when you consider 5G when it was introduced, and now basically AI. It will be the time for carrier reductions and the true beginning. You mentioned the smartphone cycle's maturity. This is the consumer AI revolution that will truly occur in Cupertino. And as we get into the first part of next year, we believe that's how we have a $4 trillion market capitalization. Are there any parts on Apple that you could update for us? Yes, I do believe that the services are worth $1.7 trillion. When you've sort of put everything together, you have roughly $100 billion in revenue that is increasing in the mid-teens, and the free cash on margins is double that of the hardware industry. When you add it all up, it exceeds $4 trillion. In my opinion, the bull case will ultimately cost more than $300. Microsoft. I am aware of your strong optimism towards Microsoft. These days, what's the idea? After watching Nvidia's call last night, you decide to purchase Microsoft as well, as Redmond and Nadella are in charge of the software division. Take a look at OpenAI. They are truly in control. Together with Jensen, Nadella is located in that Mount Rushmore. Do Azure and Blackwell live together, or do they compete with one another? They work well together. I don't get Blackwell either. Describe. Thus, Blackwell is practically a house's foundation and architecture. The real house, the real rooms, is Microsoft. Various software players will be involved, including Salesforce, ServiceNow, and others. What keeps the house safe? Palo Alto and other cybersecurity names. Look, I still believe that Nvidia is today's equivalent of LeBron in high school. They are practically there, LeBron in high school. The place where they are is Nvidia. Given how much money is being spent on AI, I suppose the figures are nearly mind-numbing. How much of the capital expenditures for AI are added to or just deducted from existing tech budgets, such as ET or something similar? Approximately $800 billion of the trillion, in my opinion, is incremental. Whoa. There will be losers from the $200 billion, where there is undoubtedly a cannibalization impact. However, it is actually incremental and only illustrates how the powerful will become more powerful in the tech industry. After that, you can discuss regulations. Technology is driving a Ferrari in the left lane at 100 miles per hour, whereas regulatory is in the right lane in a minivan traveling 40 miles per hour. When you add them all together, how much does the Mag 7's free cash flow grow? The Ives Home's basement contains a confidential Excel spreadsheet. The Mag 7's free cash flow growth is in the upper teens, with the potential to reach 20%. You're going to give me a 2 on it, really? As the following 2 or 3 years approach, I believe it may begin to reach that peak. And for that reason, I understand. The bears are still sitting there, DCFing negative on technology with their spreadsheets. Yes, but I will end it there. This is too significant. Are you heading to DCF? Paul was asked this yesterday. How can a terminal value be performed on these giants? This isn't CFA.